Contrary to popular belief, there isn't any dark mysteries that need to be unraveled when it comes to putting a good edge on your axe or hatchet. Many people would have you believe that it's witchcraft, but it's not. It's actually quite simple, and you don't need to buy anything special, any special tools once you get the profile on there. I'm going to show you how to put a good edge on your axe or hatchet with the tools that you're most likely going to have. We'll go over several different options, and before long you'll be shaving sharp. So let's take a look at a few of the different options and maybe some of the ones that I prefer. So this is the box that I keep my sharpening stones in. I love this box. I got it from my granddad years ago. It's got there we go. Nice way to keep everything in one place. So the question usually comes up, what's the best? What's the best stone for sharpening these axes? What's the easiest? So can't say that I have the best way. I don't know. I mean, I have my favorite way, but it would be arrogant for me to say that that's the best way because there is no best way. It all depends on what you like. But I think we'll start with the basic stuff. I think that something that most of you are going to have, you probably have it around maybe from your dad or from your grandfather, is just an old whetstone. This is my granddad's old whetstone here that I remember him used to sharpen his pocket knife on it. And a lot of these old ones here have a fine and a coarse. You flip them over, you can see there. And some of them, like this one, that has a groove in it, that would have been designed for sharpening fish hooks or different things like that. That's pretty common with those. And these old stones are really good. Actually, Jeff from Cutlery Lover, I noticed he put up a video. He found an old vintage stone somewhere, and that's a really good option too. Some of those old stones, the density of the stone, especially the Arkansas, are of a high quality that we can't get anymore today. So if you have an old family stone, a black Arkansas stone, if you ever see one, man, snatch it up. Usually they'll be in a really nice box, but you'll know it when you see it. And if it's a little bit worn or needs resurfacing, don't sweat that at all. I'm also, the Forest Service, they don't get too carried away with sharpening. Their tools are putting super fine edges on them. They usually just go with a file. For wildland firefighters or trail crews, one of the banded pieces of equipment that they have to have on them is a good mill bastard file like this. And you can put a wonderful edge on a tool with a file. There's no reason why you can't. It's not going to be super refined and super polished, but it will get the job done. But we're not going to be content with that. We want a good edge on it. Also, smaller stones are going to come in all different sizes. I had several stones here from my granddad. Here's another one. Granddad, he used to take care of things when the boxes came apart. He'd tape them up. There's his old stone. Look at the wear on that. This is kind of a cool one. Broken off there. Look at that. You see years and years of use in those things. So also, many of you have these. I've recommended these for years, and I think that the Lansky stone, it's called a Lansky puck, super affordable. I've got these in my Amazon store at Wranglerstar.com. This is a great option because what it does is really a durable stone because of the way that it's got these chamfers cut in there, and you don't. If you're a bushcrafter or you like to take this with you out in the field, it's really durable. You can throw that in a pack, and this just wears like iron. And you've got a coarse on one side, and you've got a fine on the other, and it fits really well on the hand. And it's a great stone for sharpening. It's a good all around. Grand Forest Brooks has something similar to this that they sell on their site, but that's nothing wrong with that either. You can put a fine edge on an axe with this here. Also, I mean, there's some guys, I don't know, I've seen too much of this. I mean, there's the Japanese water stones, which I have in these boxes here. I'm not going to take them all out. I don't know that I would. That's a little bit too hard. Where a knife, you take a knife to the stone. Take a knife to the stone and sharpen it. But an axe or hatchet is bigger, and it's kind of inconvenient. It's hard. It is for me anyway. It's hard for me to take that axe and hold and maintain that bevel. It seems I think most people will agree it's better to bring a stone to the blade, right? So now I can hold this nice and steady on my leg or a thigh or on a stump, and I can really control this angle, and I can sharpen this way. It's a better way to go. A better way to go. And this is great for shop and field. But my all-time favorite, what I go to sharpen my blades, is I use these small stones here, and I only have 2 of them, and it's just fine. And these are stones that I got from Edge Pro. Edge Pro sells these. It's a knife sharpening outfit, but these are Norton. I'll see if I can find these. I'll try to put these in the store as well. They're not expensive. I've got a medium grit and I've got a super fine. And I like these the best because I've used them a lot. You can see how much. And I bought these, well, I don't know, how long have I had these? 3 years or so? These are wonderful stones. This one here is a little bit thinner. It's a little bit delicate, but I'm careful with it. And this is my favorite. I like it because of the shape of it, because I'm usually filing my, or sharpening my axes and hatchets in a clamp, like we're going to do here in a minute, and I like the way I can control it. I can sharpen like this here, I can sharpen here, I can really see what I'm doing. It's easy to control, and I love it. It's my absolute favorite way to sharpen. But whatever you have, I can do it with a file too. Whatever you have, don't worry about it, as long as you've got a stone. And you can even use a square stone. Here, I've did this for years. Here, if you have an old stone like this, right there, like that, that's not too bad. That's really not that much different than what I'm talking about with these smaller stones right here. Big misnomer, oil stones. You want to put oil on a stone to cut it. Now that's true for some of the old Arkansas stones, but it's not any oil. It's a specific oil, and I'm not an expert on that. But typically you don't want to use oil. What does oil do? It lubricates. It prevents metal from wearing. It prevents metal from wearing metal, right? So what are you trying to do? What are you trying to accomplish when you're sharpening your axe? You're trying to remove metal. You don't want that lubricant in there that's slipping and sliding and preventing you from sharpening. So the best thing to use is kerosene or diesel. Kerosene or diesel is really good, and water works good too, or spit on it. If you're in the field, that's all you have, spit on it. Because what you need is something to carry away all of those particles that are going to fill up and clog your stone. Perfect example, you can see right here, this one here hasn't been cleaned since the last time I used it. You see all that metal, all the shavings, and that's all metal from axe heads. It's not going to perform very well, and you can feel it when you're sharpening. If you sharpen right here, you'll feel it really glazing and very smooth. You'll feel that it's not cutting, but here, right there, if you move it over, you'll feel that sandpaper, that abrasiveness. And also sandpaper. If you have nothing more than sandpaper, put sandpaper on a small block of wood, a piece of fir, a piece of pine. You can get a fine edge with sandpaper too. Absolutely. So I'm going to be using these today, and let's go over and I'll show you how to check your angles, and then we'll get started. And then we'll take a look at the finished product and see how much better it was than when we started. Now, it's been my experience with decent quality axes, Stone Neelys, Grand Forsbrooks, Council Tools, Estwing, most of your major manufacturers, they're going to have a pretty good, the profile on there is going to be pretty good. What I mean by profile is that angle. An angle. What most people are going to agree on, and I mean, the debate rages on, has and always will, is between 25 and 20 degrees. That angle on there. That's hard to determine. How do you do that? Well, you can go to the Forest Service has a site under, I think it's, if you type in an axe to grind, they have a really good video tutorial, and they have a template that you can print out and cut it out with paper, or you can make your own. This is one here that I've made from focus here? There we go. Made from a piece of hickory, and I've got stamped on there a 20 and a 25. I like to go a little bit narrower. The edge at 20 degrees is going to be a little bit more brittle. If you're cutting in really cold climate, it may not be the ideal, or you have really hard, knotty wood, you might step that up to 22, 23, even 25. Splitting mauls, I'm going to use 25 usually. But this is a nice tool to have, and it just gives you a quick reference. You can put that on there and check your profile and make sure that you conform to that. Not such a big issue when you get your new axes that have a decent grind on them, but those of you guys that are restoring old ones, or granddad's axe where someone has maybe abused it or hasn't taken care of it properly or improperly filed it, you can, by using a tool like this, you can get it back going again. So I've got a video I'll put on the end card of how to make this, a detailed video, so if you want to make one of these for yourself. It's a nice gift, and it works good for your tools. So once we've established the profile, or the angle, which we have on here, it's just what I like it, we can go ahead and start working on the edge. So if you didn't catch the first part of this video, we covered how to look after your handle, how to get the varnish off, how to get all of that all sorted out. Talked a little bit about clamps. A clamp like this, several of you pointed out I've got a clamp and a clamp and a clamp, a triple clamp there. I thought, yeah, it's interesting. I like to have it up here close where I can work on it. I like to work up here close, you know, right about chest height right here. That's when I'm the best with my hands and is easiest for me. And this, getting these clamps raised up here like this works really good for me for that. This is a very enjoyable process. I think restoring axes is a great hobby because you don't have to have a lot of tools. You can, if you live in an apartment, you can put something together enough to do the stuff at home or a garage, and it's not an expensive hobby, and it's a very satisfying hobby, and you're doing a good service. You're restoring these old tools that otherwise would just go away and never would just be lost to us forever. So I keep a little kerosene or diesel, whatever, and there it's the best, and I keep it handy here so I can keep wetting my stone, and I'm gonna start working this edge. Now I know that my profile is pretty good because I've already checked it. So what I'm looking for here is I'm looking for the polish, and I'm watching right down to that fine edge. Make sure you get a lamp or get good light on there so you can see everything really good, and just moderate pressure. And I'm going to kind of I'm not going to worry about it too much, but kind of keep track of how much time I spend on this edge. And I want to spend about, you know, similar time on the other end. And this angle is going to be changing because I want to polish back a ways. I don't want to just do a micro bevel on there, a micro edge. I want the whole thing to be polished. So as it bites and cuts into the wood, the smoother the steel is, the easier it's going to go in, the further it's going to bite and cut, and the less likely you're going to have sap and pitch and tannin affecting the blade, and it's just going to be a finer tool. It'll be a finely honed, precise tool that will cut good. So I'll work that back, but I'm watching that polish, and I'll roll down until I start to see I'm affecting that edge, and I'm just going to go back and forth. I'll go down like this, and as I work back, I'll roll that angle up, and I'm rolling it. This is these stones are this medium stone. It's not going to take a lot of material. This is not like a file. So if your angle's not perfect, you know, you're not going to do damage to your axe. You're just going to continue to polish it. And this being a factory edge, of course, we're going to have to work on it. We're going to have to spend a lot of time up front on it, because once we get this polish in it, then we don't have to do that anymore, providing we keep our axe out of the dirt and out of the rocks. We'll just be working on the wire edge, and we won't have to do this, but it's coming along nice. So this particular axe, this is a little Prandy Italian-made axe. This is the one that, I'm sorry, David, this has taken so long. My life has been so hectic and crazy with our traveling that I just haven't gotten to this, and I don't want to send it until it's absolutely perfect. So I hope you don't mind if I just keep it a little bit longer, and when you get it, it'll be done right. See all that? You can see there how there's quite a bit of buildup there on the stone. That's, we're going to keep that diesel nearby. Keep it in there. Keep sloshing it around. It comes right off. Look how much it cleans off there. It really works good. And as soon as you get it off, this is really taking a nice edge. I can see the wire on there now. The stone's cutting really good because of the diesel. We're getting a nice polish on it. And don't try to kill yourself with trying to get a mere finish on it the first time. It'll come. It'll come when you continue to sharpen it over the years and decades, and before long, I mean, you can. I mean, I'll do it if I have the time, but if I don't, I know I'll get to it in the next few sharpenings. Now that's looking really good there. Clean that diesel off. You can see we're starting to get a nice polish. This is a medium. This isn't our super fine, but a really good. I can just feel a little wire coming off that back side. So now we'll flip it over. You know, spend about 5 minutes or so on that. We'll do the same on the other side. You know what actually might be a better way of keeping track is set your timer. say, okay, I'm gonna work on this for 5 minutes or 10 minutes, whatever it need be. And then when that timer goes off, flip it over and do the same thing on the other side. Just be consistent. I think it's pretty easy to do, and that way you get a nice even edge on there. It's kind of funny, as I was growing up, I spent a lot of time with my grandfather. We used to go, he taught me how to hunt. We used to go hunting together and sharpening knives, and a lot of the things that I share with you guys I learned from my dad and from my granddad. But he always sharpened everything with just an old-fashioned whetstone. And I guess the thing that's so funny is I was always trying to find a better way. I was kind of, whether the latest, greatest. I remember I had to have this diamond knife sharpener, and I'd show my granddad, because I always wanted him to get his approval on everything, because I looked up to him so much, and he would be very patient and smile and never said a bad word. But I noticed that he didn't adopt it. He'd just go back to the way he'd always done things and using his old whetstone. And I used to get frustrated with that, thinking, oh man, you can't teach an old dog new tricks and all that. But as I've gotten older and wiser, I guess the thing that's funny is that I've abandoned almost all of those things and went back to the way he did things. And I can see now, why. It's just, for me, it's just a better way. Just a better way. So.
Happy Sabbath to everyone. Man, today I look forward to more than anything. A day of rest, a day of time spent with family, and it is a nice reprieve. An interesting story. Have you ever been to the Grand Canyon? If some of you who have been there have noticed or remember that they've got those little donkeys, those little burros that will take guided tours down those steep trails to the bottom. Well, years and years ago, they used to run those donkeys 7 days a week because there was such a demand. And they found that the donkeys weren't doing very well. They weren't very healthy. They didn't live very long, and it was really hard on them. So they started giving them 1 day of rest. Worked 6 days and 1 day off, and everything changed dramatically. They were happier, healthier, and just and they lived longer. It was the way that we were intended to live. Not only the animals, but for us as well. So whether it is you keep the Sabbath or you take a day off on Sunday, mark 1 day off. Get your family together and resolve that we're not going to do any work that day. We're going to have a day for family time, a day for rest and relaxation. And it's good for the family, it's good for the soul, and something that you'll look forward to. It's been a real blessing for our family, I know that. So there'll be additional parts to this, and what else was there? Oh, wood stove. We got some really exciting wood stove going up. We met the most fantastic guy in Portland who has a wood stove museum. His name is Buck. I think I've spoke about this before, but we're going to be doing some videos with him. He has got some fascinating things, and we're really looking forward to it. So look forward to those coming. So we'll see you guys on the next video.